and welcome today to our live podcast. I'm so excited we're here. Please drop in the comments where you're coming to us from the globe. We have people coming from all over the place. So drop in the comments where you're heading in, coming in from. And I'm excited to have Diana Mantey with us today. She is a projector, and Diana is a Facebook ads manager for coaches, service entrepreneurs who grow their audience, fill their launches, and sell their offers with ease on social media. So welcome, Diana. Diana, thank you so much for being on today.
Hi, thanks so much for having me.
I'm so excited to have you come on today and to be a part of this live chart reading and to really share the gifts of your chart with you. So we like to get to know all our guests first. And so I would love to hear, what is a favorite book or show that you've been into lately?
Oh, good question. Well, we were just together at the Gold Digger Conference. And so I've been reading Aaron King's book, which has been great. I think it's so funny. So I'm on like chapter 4 or something, but that's what I'm reading right now.
Oh, that's awesome. She was so hilarious in person. I was dying and wanted to be best friends with her like right away.
Yeah, same. And I was just like, I love this woman and that she will like wear sneakers on stage and be cool with it. Because I'm always like double thinking, is this appropriate? Is it not? But it's me. Can I do it? Yes, no, yes, no. And everyone else is like, no. And I'm like, but I want to.
We're going to, yeah. Well, and I love that outfit that you were in with the shorts and the blazer.
Oh, thanks.
Oh,
that was one of those things. I was like, do I wear this? Yes.
It was so cute. Oh my goodness, so amazing. Okay, and where is your favorite place that you've been traveled to? We also like to get to know that.
Oh, that's a good question. I like anywhere in Asia to travel and visit. Taiwan, Japan, some of my favorites.
Oh, cool. Is it the food or the culture or the whole thing?
Oh, I think both. I think both. They're both like really clean. The food is amazing. The public transport is so good. Like you don't need a car to really get around. There's always like a lot to do and see. So yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. Oh, that's so great. Okay. I have never made it out to Asia, but I
highly recommend. I like everyone loves to go to Europe. I've been to a couple of European countries, but I think like Asian countries are so fun.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. Well, it's such a different culture too, and I love seeing the culture changes and shifts of that. It's so beautiful.
Yeah.
So, well, we're going to dive into your chart. And I'm so excited because when you sent me your chart, I like audibly gasped because you're a projector. And I was like, I always like meeting fellow projectors because in this world of business, we meet a lot of generators. We meet a lot of manifesting generators, which is another human design type. And usually, typically, when we think of, people in business, entrepreneurs, we think of this, go, do, get it all done, kind of more alpha energy, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I was so excited to hear that you are a projector with all your divine gifts that you've been given. And so remember that human design is sharing the gifts that you were born with. So I often get asked like, okay, well, will my gifts kind of shift and change over time, But because it's only based on your date of birth and your place and that information, it doesn't shift or change. It's stable, it's anchoring. So we know we can rely upon these gifts when we're going in different avenues of our careers or personally, we know that they're stable and they're there with us always, and we can kind of call upon them, Mm-hmm. And so I loved looking at your chart. You have a lot of things going on that we're going to hit on today. Awesome. I always want to start. Yeah, it's so great.
I'm so excited. I know nothing about this. Well, I saw the chart and I was like, Courtney, what does this mean? Now I get to know.
Yes, exactly. And it's kind of mind-boggling. But when we're looking at a chart, the first thing that I want to stay within is an archetype. So we're going to look at being a projector and how can we live within being a projector as much as in alignment as possible. So we remember, like, with a car, right? When a car's heading down the road, if the wheels are shaky and wobbly, you know, it can't speed up as much, or if the engine hasn't been serviced in forever, it's going to die, you know. So we always want to look at alignment as living and working smoothly, right? So it's going down the road, not hitting any pitfalls, you know, not struggling in those ways. And so as a projector, your gift is you're an amazing coach, guide, and mentor. That's what you're born with. You are this new version of a CEO who points others to use their strengths and their talents and their gifts. You have this innate understanding of how to manage people and things, and you can use these deep wisdoms to manage and kind of see the bigger picture of how people can plug in and what they can do. So really this bird's eye view that you have is really beautiful. So, and this is really good to know, like when you're interacting with other people too on a team or in relationships. So even with my husband is a generator, and so he has a lot of energy and can do a lot of things, you know. In our relationships, whether it's personally or professionally, we oftentimes will judge ourselves based on what other people can do and what we cannot do. And there's that judgment like, oh, we're lacking. Well, you have this beautiful broad view of how to integrate, almost like seeing the full picture of the puzzle before it's even created. And you can slot in those pieces easily and with this innate knowledge. You also are this natural connector with people and for people. So you're this ideal networker that you can link up with people. You can feel their energy in deep ways and also speak to their challenges without them saying it. You know, it's kind of this intuitive nature. Now, with being a projector, one thing that we always want to address too is it's great to know our gifts, but it's also great to know what the challenges we come across too as well. So with a projector, projectors can get burnt out really easily. They're not meant to work 60, 90 hours a week. That's not for them. Now, this physical and emotional exhaustion can come on easier for you. You really, as we look at creating support around yourself, creating it around your work, creating it around your personal life, delegating is going to be a great tool for you. Looking at like, do I delegate, diminish, or delete practices?
Yeah.
You know, because you can't do it all, right? And that's okay, right? But what you can do with this is you can direct it all, right? You can manage the different pieces of it to create this beautiful collective picture. Now, with your human design type on your chart, you have a defined root, and we'll go more into that. In a defined root, there is the gift of drive. So you kind of have this excess drive. So in a way, you're like this, and it's called energy projector. So you can do more than a classic projector, more than just like having getting burnt out easily. But for you, burnout can come and just kind of hit you upside the face. Be like, oh my gosh, I've really got to stop, you know?
Yeah.
I'm not taking care of myself. So your action step with this information is to really give yourself permission to integrate rest and renewing as a need. Not just like, I hope I get it in, you know, I have all these things to get in, but this is a need of yours that creates even more drive and momentum when you're working on projects and with clients. So are you able to balance this rest and work, or has that been a challenge?
Yeah, I think like when I first started my business, so like 3.5 years ago or so, and like even up till like the past, I guess, year and a half, like setting boundaries and managing it was really difficult for me, because it's also like, you want to serve people and do your best and always like give, and then remembering like, well, none of this really matters if I'm not happy, if I'm exhausted, if I don't have time for the things that I like, or even being able to enjoy the money I'm making. So that's when like setting up systems, delegating, always, like I always get 8 hours of sleep. Always, like just some like non-negotiables that are just like, feel really good right now, and now are just part of my life. And I'm just like, I don't know how I ever operated without them.
Yes. Right. And two, we look at whatever we pour into ourselves as bosses, everybody else gets a piece of that as well, And so if we are drained, or I know for me, if I don't get like my 8-9 hours of sleep at night, I'm just like a hot mess, and then I can't do as much and I can't create as much and really pour into other people, because that's what you do as a projector. You're going to be pouring into other people, and we're going to see how this you pouring into other people comes across in your other pieces of your chart. But it's hard to pour into other people when there's nothing to give. And so oftentimes, especially as an energy projector, you might be in this like half work, half rest kind of state where you're like, oh, I'm still thinking about projects, right?
Yeah.
Still thinking about things. And so it's not really rest when it's like that half work, half rest. And so that's another area for you to look at, is to really like, hey, when I'm resting, when I'm off of work, I'm really off, I'm really taking that time to step back and to really, really rest, So and that makes your company better. That makes you better in that way.
Yeah.
So another part of your chart, as being a projector, is this wait to be invited. Now, this is your strategy. It's at the top part of your chart. And a strategy is how you get things done, how you make things happen, I guess. That's a better phrasing for it. And each design type has a different way that they make things happen. Now, when you see the strategy, wait to be invited, right? That's not like a really entrepreneurial slogan, right? People are like, I'm just going to wait to be invited. But so I want to define this a little more so you can use this as a resource. So we're going to wait for the door to be open, wait for people to lean into the conversations with you, right? And when they do so, you jump in with your confidence, with your, I am an expert in this area, I'm supposed to be here. You're curating these invitations. Okay, so when, door-to-door salesmen, right? They like, they'll knock on the door and they'll wait for the person to open the door. That's kind of what we can think of it as a projector, okay? So we're knocking on the door, and knocking on the door is like having conversations with people, networking, which you're so good at, really being able to have a conversation. And when we met at Gold Digger face-to-face, it was like, we could just talk and, it was just easy, good energy, Yeah. So you're naturally gifted at that. So curating those conversations, curating those relationships, and then people will say, hey, Diana, I know you do Facebook ads. I know you manage accounts. So what can you do for me, right? That's a lean in, that's someone opening the door for that conversation. Just because you're there and you're awesome and you're standing in your awesomeness is how you create those conversations. So curating those conversations is about having that confidence and that positive, good vibe energy. Bringing good work to the table, which is what you do, you're like, hey, I'm showing up. Here's what I do. Waiting for people to just lean in, or if you have a good relationship with them, you can ask. You can be like, hey, we've opened the door to each other before. So let's talk a little bit more deeper. I have this new layer of a offer that I'm using, or this new mechanism for Facebook ads that's really targeting this, because now that the iPhones are taking over the world, type of thing. So it's layering in those things and then waiting for them to respond. And because you can feel that energy, you know when to lean in more, and you know when to like, hey, this might need to be tabled for a little bit, type of thing. So, so your action step with this is to show off your awesome. So tell all my projectors, I'm like, show it off, be out there showing off your like cool things that you're doing, the amazing results that you have, and then cultivate that real connection with others, on an individual level. Everything is becoming more high touch now, and I love that. And that works especially well for projectors because they love that high touch interaction. So Now, here, is it hard for you to show off your awesomeness? Like, is it, when people talk about self-promotion, like, and there's this kind of this like, thing with it. Or have you embraced the great abilities that you bring to the table?
Yeah, I think it's a little bit of both. Like you always hesitate before you hit like post on certain things. Like, is it really like, is this too much for me to be saying this or sharing this? But it's not, because someone else said this directly to me, or this is really what happened, or something like that. So yeah, sometimes it's kind of like, or I'm always thinking about like, okay, you can't toot your own horn too many times in a row, or it starts to sound in a certain way. And of course, these are all just things that I think and might not necessarily be how other people receive them, but I think I'm conscious of it for sure. And I'll even like, I mean, sometimes take like huge breaks from even marketing myself or posting, one for like my own, just kind of like, because I want to, and I'm conscious that I'm doing it and I'm like okay with it. So, but it's also part of like knowing if I'm not doing that, then I'm kind of hiding as well. So I think there's like it's hills and valleys for sure. Like it comes in waves.
Yes, I love, yeah, hiding. That's a really good term because projectors, they really want other people to shine. And so they're going to kind of take a step back. So to allow for other people to shine. And at the same token, to move business forward and progress, you need to share your awesome, which you are doing so many good things. Like you get so many good results, like it's incredible. And to share that and embrace that really comes from, once we embrace ourselves and our inner amazingness, we can better embrace everybody else's amazing talents and gifts. And so really looking at, am I hiding or am I naturally sharing the great things that are happening,
Yeah.
And then that resonates more at a deeper level,
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay. Well, also on your chart, there is, it's called a profile, and your profile is at the top. It's called 6'2". You're a 6'2". And a profile is like your personality. It's how you, the first number is the way you see yourself. And the other number is the way others see you. And sometimes we have blind spots to how do we see ourselves or how do others see us. And so this really gives us a layer of into that interaction. And then your number 6 is a wise sage. So you have this innate wisdom. You're wise to life. You look inside of yourself and you hold the answers, and others are meant to see you like as this wise sage. Like, come to Diana. She's got the answers for you, and especially with Facebook ad marketing, there's so many layers of answers and like details and things that are just so, I don't know. They just seem so out there. So this is so perfect. Number 2, you're number 2. So you have a 6'2". You are the natural. And there are certain things that you seem effortlessly good at without really knowing how you even got there. There's this pressure in the world to have a bunch of qualifications, but you are your own qualification. Your wisdom that you hold inside of you allows you to have those certifications under the belt because you already learned it, and you don't need a certificate or anything to show that because you're just naturally good at your zone of genius. And this is anybody who has a 6'2", like anything that they're passionate about, they're just going to be naturally good at, and deep dive into. Now, when the 6 and the 2 come together, you like to focus on depth and meaning. Your business is about seeing a higher standard of how this can be done better. And you bring it to life too. And so that 6 is really outward focused, and the 2 just brings in this natural like ability towards what you're doing to help other people with. Now, with the 6'2", there's this part that 6'2s struggle with, like comparison or perfectionism or needing to do it like right on point, type of thing. And we know that there's this principle that works really good done is better than perfect, you know?
Perfect. Yeah.
So just let's get it done, type of thing. But do you feel this pressure to like have all these qualifications, or did you in the past, or certifications? Because there's so many that you could get in your field.
Yeah, that's a good question. And I think like more and more too, I've also like settled into, Diana, you know enough, and coming to a point like there's always more things you can invest in, more coaches to buy their programs from, more courses to take online. There's so much stuff. And it, like last year, I made a lot of different investments and they were all very good in their own way. But afterwards, I was just kind of like, I feel really good where I'm at right now. And while I found myself like looking like, what's next? What's next? I realized like, Diana, you don't, right now, like you're so good. Don't make an investment or push yourself to do something just because you feel like you have to, but just know like you're great where you are. And when the right thing comes, you'll know. So that's what I've just been kind of like trusting myself. And every time, like if I feel pulled towards something, then cool, I'll go that way. And if I don't, then I leave it. And I'm just like, it's okay. Like you don't need to have your hand in every single thing, and being really good at what you're good at is the best thing to be. People ask me all the time, like, do you do YouTube? Do you do Google? Do you do this? Do you do that? And I'm just like, no, I just do this and I'm really good at it. And like, that's what I like. Like maybe like someday, but otherwise this is where I focus. This is what I hone my craft on. And it's just kind of what I do. And I'm not right now, like, I know that it's enough and I don't need to learn other things to be the right fit or to work with the people I want to work with.
That's so beautiful. That's really like, what an empowering way to look at your life, and with that too, on your chart is your inner authority. And you kind of touched on this, so we're going to dive into this, which is so great. And your inner authority is your GPS. It's kind of like, hey, your body is saying to do this, go this direction. Our mind gets involved and we overthink things and we like second guess stuff, all the time. But we're trying to really like tap into what is our body feeling and saying to resonate with those messages. So it's a way, human design is a way to live in the present, to live holistically, because we're like, okay, this is what the direction I'm being pulled into. So your inner authority tells you kind of this GPS. It's like your own Surrey. And it's like, and yours is the spleen. Now the spleen is all about intuitive powers. And it's this instant yes or no, right? And it doesn't really make sense. Yeah. And it's all about like, does this kind of make me smile and lean in more, but I'm not quite exactly sure, but it's just like this instant, I'm going to go that direction. And so you smiled and laughed about that. So tell me about like those intuitive, have you been listening, I guess, or how have you cultivated that?
Yeah, I think I know like instantly if something's a no, like I'll just be like, no, what? I already know it's a no. And then my other thing is if it's not like a heck yes, then it's a no. And that's kind of, especially big decisions. And I feel like you can get a vibe based off of somebody right away. And I can kind of tell like, is this something that I want to pursue, or a relationship that I want to like, really invest in? Or is it somebody that I'm just kind of like, nah, we're good. And you just feel like off about something or whatever it is. And yeah, I think I know right away, like when things are no's, and instantly I'll just be like, no.
What does that no feel like? Is there like a certain feeling that no, you're like, oh, or like body language, or like, what do you like? You're like, oh gosh.
I don't like, it's just like, I don't know. I just like feel it. And it actually feels like kind of empowering of just like, you don't need to waste your time like entertaining this. You don't need to like spend all day or night thinking about it. And the amount of times I'm thinking now that I've thought back and been like, oh, I regret saying no to that is like absolutely never. Like I always, if it's like a really deep, like, no, then it's just like, I know that that's in my best interest and that's not the right choice or direction at that time.
Yes, that's so good. You're trusting yourself. You really wholeheartedly trust yourself. And I love too that you're like, because of course we always go back and think, well, should I have done that? Should I have gone that route? Because that's just what our brains are trained to do, But I love that you back that up to your brain. You're like, that was a no, and it's still a no, So stop worrying about it, get over yourself. We're moving on.
Right. And like new opportunities will come and it will all work out and be okay.
Yes, yeah, totally. And those new opportunities do come, especially because you're saying no to what was not right for you. So you're opening the door to what is right for you, And because you bring awesome work to the table, people are going to be naturally attracted to you, and they're going to be asking you questions and leaning into conversations and making things happen. And that one no won't make things happen.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, I love that. All right. So also on your chart, there's that body graph. And on that body, that person, there's all these centers. Now, human design has energy centers, kind of like chakras, and they all have gifts that they can bring to the table. Now, the ones that are defined are colored in on your chart, and you always have those gifts with you always. They're kind of like flagships, like they're just there with you. You can lean on them. You can develop them even more. The undefined centers are the white ones, and those are gifts that you can curate. They can come in with energy, others' energy, or environment or mood type of thing. So like, because you and I we do not have a sacral defined. A sacral is one of the energy centers that has energy. So it's kind of like life force and workforce energy. You have a little something else, which I'll get into. But like if I go to a coffee shop, and I don't know if you feel the same way, when you go to a coffee shop, it's like, oh yeah, the buzz of the coffee shop is really helpful, and like provides good energy and stuff like that. So so we can place ourselves in those areas to get additional energy, or being around really cool people like the conference. I was like, I can do anything. What's your words? So things like that can be harnessed. Or so with your defined centers, you have the ajna, which is towards the top, and it's your point of view and inspiration. So you have the gift of point of view, inspiration. So throat is communication and manifestation. You have also the spleen, which is your intuitive powers. You have the root, which is your drive. And this drive is giving you this extra momentum to be able to do all the things that you really want to do, especially coming from that inspiration and point of view. You see this point of view and this inspiration, you're like, now we're going to do something about it. And you hold those intuitive powers to know, hey, we're going in the right direction. Let's keep on going, right? It's almost like, hey, we're working down this pathway, and your intuition is like, yeah, let's keep this up, So these are your driving factors. Now, I love hearing about how in tune you are with your intuition, and really using your throat to vocalize those intuitions, but also to vocalize your point of view and your inspiration, because you hold really great gifts and how that comes into your coaching practice and your business as well. So your kind of action step here is to really use your voice more, is to share those inspirations. Whenever we're sharing something, especially vocally, with you having that defined throat, you can voice messaging is really good, because you can really connect with people on layers that a text or something or words can't do. And then they'll see this inspiration of your drive and your point of view and your and all those things coming together as well. And so I would love to hear about your inspiration and how that's helped you, like, professionally, because you're getting all these inspirational and point of view ideas and stuff.
Yeah. I think, well, starting my own business and thing was obviously like a big risk. And it's something that all of us are just probably kind of like, do I do this? Like, sure, I'm just gonna do it. So I think that's part of like my inspiration, but also just knowing like when every time you feel like your back's against the wall or you have no other options or things are like not in a good place, that you can pick yourself back up, and it's just finding the path to be able to do it. And yeah, for me, like starting my own business was part of that, and being able to see like the big picture or like what I wanted to create and what I wanted to happen, even when like literally no one else could see it. And my family was pissed and my friends were like, you're going to be homeless. And I'm just like, I think it's all going to be okay. And so, yeah, like just staying focused and also learning too, like that the relationships you need will stay and the ones that you don't will fizzle out, and it's okay. And staying focused in that way. And then too, like always coming up with new ways to do things better or to do things differently, and just adding those in and just being different. And when everyone's like, Diana, you need to build a team, or Diana, if you're not marketing for 6 months, like your business is going to die. And just always knowing like, actually, I think I don't need to do those things, or I can do what I choose and it will be okay, because I'll know when I need to do what I need to do and what it is.
That is really tapping into that intuition, right? Has your intuition been your like best friend through this whole process?
Yeah, I would say so. And it's like sometimes you ignore it and then things end up like worse. And that's when you end up like curled up in a ball, like, this is the worst. But anytime, like, yeah, I'm just now, I totally, like, if I feel something, like, I told you I'm leaving for Australia tomorrow, which was literally like an intuitive hit that was just like, you need to go. And it didn't leave me alone for like a couple of weeks. And I was just like, I'm just going to go. Like, I have no plans, no friends, no schedule, no nothing, no research, just going to show up and we'll see what happens.
That is so great. But what a great life motto, right? I'm going to follow this intuitive hit. I'm going to show up and I'm going to see what happens. Because so oftentimes too in business that we feel like we have to have this plan, we have to dive in. Everything has to be etched out. And the more that we can just release and follow one step to the next, to the next, to the next, everything is coming towards us in that way. And we're walking towards it too, instead of diving into this other pathway that feels off and wrong, but it's not meant for us. But we're like, well, the people said to do it this way. And so I guess I've got to believe them more than I believe myself.
Yeah. And I don't do that. Like anything, I think you can take it. And then if it feels like totally terrible or unaligned, or you're just like bad taste in my mouth about it, it's like, this isn't for me, and that's okay. And maybe I can take a piece of it and use it, and maybe I can't, and I leave it be. But I think that's a huge part of like how you see some people really thriving and being successful and being really happy, and other people struggling, is not knowing the difference between trusting themselves and looking outwards for everybody else to trust. And yeah, it's something I always look for too. Like, how confident are you in yourself that you're going to be able to make this happen? Because you can hire all the people and you can revert blame back on everybody else for why things didn't work, when it usually, always comes back to you. And whatever decision you made, even the decision to hire someone, it always comes back to you.
Yes. And that relentless self-belief is a muscle, that's developed over time. Like, you're here now being like, I hear this hit and I'm going to go and do, it doesn't make sense, but this is what we do. That's a muscle you've built over time and takes a practice, just like life is a practice. The gym is a practice, whatever we're developing ourselves is a practice, So it comes with more time of just listening, and more things open up as we listen to those hits, and we're like, okay, this is what I'm going to do. Forget everybody else. I am anchored in myself. And two, like, it's like, why wouldn't we bet on ourselves? Do you know? Like, if we're going to bet on other people so often, but we forget to bet on ourselves, what the crap is that? You know?
Yeah. Yeah. I know. And so often, or at least in the past, it would get mistaken for like selfishness, or like you're rude, or you're like so one-sided, and sometimes you like, I used to take it like very personally. And I mean, honestly, people don't say that to me anymore, but it was one of those things when you're trying to figure it out and you're advocating for what you want and what you think is right. And then people say that back and you're trying to figure out, is that really who I am? Is that like how I identify myself? And so I totally had to be like, that's not who I am. That's not who I think I am. And like, anytime people say things that I'm just like, I don't relate to that. I don't view myself that way. And if you do, you can kind of see the door. See the door. I like don't have time for it. And it's been so much like, just like, yeah, I know who I am, and it feels really good. And I know there's still like a ways to go, but it's way better than being in a spot where you're looking for validation externally and like out, and happiness externally, which is always like, you're never gonna actually find it.
Right, exactly. And it's no one else's job to have happiness but our own. You know, that's our own personal job, our own personal responsibility. But the beautiful thing about this work and is about tapping into this aligned self is that everybody else gets the gift of us being aligned. And then they get our gift of happiness, joy, success, you know, showing up and how we really are is beautiful. So there's one more part of your chart that I want to highlight because it was like boom, boom, boom. And it's on your root center. Now, remember the gifts of the root is drive and this momentum, this wanting to do things, you know, getting things done. And you have channels, which are the lines going from one energy center to the next. They're defined, so they're all colored in. Or you have gates coming off the root, which are halfway across to another energy center. And these all add flavors to our personality. They add gifts to our personality that we can utilize more. You have every single gate of the root lit up, which is defined, except for one. So if I want to I'm going to list these off. I'm going to do a little top line on this so that we can really take the action from these gifts. But you have gate 58, which is the pressure to perfect, not to be a perfectionist, but to reach towards a better version of what is already there. You have gate 38, which is deflecting struggle. You have a strong buffer for when crap hits the fan. Oh my gosh. Gate 54 is this drive to provide for oneself. You enjoy making money on your own 2 feet. Gate 53 is the pressure to start. You are always wanting to get going. You want to start implementing, moving your business forward. It's kind of almost like this restlessness to move to the next avenue of whatever you're developing. Gate 60 is intolerance for roadblocks. You're like, not having it. I'm going to bounce through you. So gate 52, I know this keeps going, right? Is sitting still and resisting restlessness. So almost like taking a second to pause and gain clarity and consciousness around what you're going to do. 19 is sensing people's needs. So what are the basic needs of people? So what are the basic needs of your clients and really fulfilling that? And then gate 39 is provoking consciousness. So sometimes people need to hear things in hard ways, but you can deliver it in a way that makes sense to them and helps them to see new perspectives. So I know that was a lot, but I really wanted to share just top lines about those. And to really make sure that because you have so much driving within you, that's like an immense amount of drive that your body's just like, let's go, we're going to do this, you know? And I love that you're using your intuitive nature to filter through things, you know, because you don't need to say yes to everything, of course, but I wanted to make sure that you're really resting and not getting this half work, half rest thing that we talked about, because you have such an intense drive that it's almost like this buzzing motor, right? This like you're on speedboat mode a lot. And so just slowing down to throttle it back a little and just to like, oh, look at the mountains. Here we are in this beautiful lake. And then you can, crank it out and stuff like that. So you can have those influx of different timings in your day and in your week and in your month, as year as well. So what are your thoughts on some of those that we went over and what resonated, I guess?
Yeah, I mean, I think all of them. I mean, I'm somebody who's like, right, like I mentioned, I'll like need 8 hours of sleep and usually get it or more, but I don't nap. And like, I'm very rarely nap. I'm really into routine, but I'm not like rigorous. Like it can't be broken. Like I know, like I'll travel and I'll do things and like I can have my week look different, but then when it comes to, certain things, like I like it being done the way that I like it, and it helps me to like be able to know it's done. Same thing with how I like manage my work and like, okay, it's time to turn off for the day, is writing everything that I need to do down. And I love to check things off and just be like, done, done, done. And once all the check marks are checked, I'm free. And putting the phone down and like getting away and taking a break from the screen, and just like, sometimes it's something that you need to remember. But I'm also like, always like, I need to move my body. I can't even imagine like every single day I probably go to the gym, or at least I go for a walk. And if I don't do it, I feel like super antsy and can't sleep.
Yes.
So all of these things are like always doing something, and doing things fast and wanting to learn things really fast too, whether it's a hobby or something in my business, or once I'm like commit to doing it, I start doing it. And whatever anybody else says, I'm like, sure, but just watch. Just wait. Just wait
to see. Yes.
Like, yeah, you might be right, but I'm going to at least try, because I think so many people just don't even try because they're so scared of failing, that or like not being as good as they thought they were, it being really hard, that they just never go for it anyways. And I'm like, I'm just going to go for it. Like I've gone for so many things now. Like, what's the point in backing down and being like, I'm not going to try that because they said that it takes a really long time to figure it out or do that. And I'm just like, let's just give it a shot.
Yes. Well, and you have so much drive and inspiration to back you up with that intuitive nature of like, yeah, this is what we're going to do, And too, as a projector, you're seeing a greater vision of what can be. And not all people can see that vision. And so they're going to be like, well, I don't know, So, but I love how anchored in on yourself you are, and how what a stabilizing force that has been for your business to just believe in yourself relentlessly, believe in your direction, and take those kind of, like, okay, who's saying what, and be like, that was nice, but I'm going to believe in myself. And this is what myself is calling me to do, and taking that calling really seriously,
Yeah. Sometimes you're like, it's like, am I like, is this right? Is this okay? Am I like being too much in some kind of ways? Like, am I expecting too much? Am I asking too much? Is this? And then it's just kind of like, whatever, it is what it is.
Right. Exactly. And your intuition has never led you wrong, and your drive has not led you wrong. It's, of course, we're all learning things and progressing, but being stable in who we are is the greatest gift that we can give to ourselves ever. So I hope this has been helpful to you, and like shining a light on the different parts of you that sometimes we are like, that's cool, but we don't like really talk about,
Yeah.
So
yeah, for sure. It's been like, validating in some ways of like, okay, yeah, this is like how I operate and how I think and what I do. And I've come to terms with like, it just is, and there's nothing wrong with it. Or maybe there are things, but people are just different, and it's neither right or wrong. And you just like learn how to manage it with your own self and your thoughts and what you want to do, and just tune out where you need to.
Yes. Tune out where you need to. And this gives human design gives us our even more validation and permission to tune out what's not serving us, So Diana, where can people find you, where they can work with you and get involved in your world?
Yeah, so my website is NG, N as in Nancy, G as in George, advertising.com. And on Instagram, my handle is Diana_NG advertising.
Awesome. Good. So they can come to you with their questions and see how you can help them as well.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Awesome. Excellent. Well, thank you, Diana, so much for being here. Thank you for coming on, even though you're hopping off to Australia. And I know that gets crazy and chaotic.
I'm not even packed yet. They're like, it is, who knows, but it will be fine. Tomorrow evening, I'll be on a plane. And like I said, I'll show up somewhere else, but
that's so great.
Who knows, okay. Who knows what I'm going to do? I'm not sure.
I can't wait to see your pictures.
Yeah, I'm still in this stage of like, what did I do? But I've done this before. And every time I have this same reaction of like, oh my gosh, do I really want to go? Or I'll get there and be like, I shouldn't have done this. And then by the end, I'm like, this was amazing. I'm so glad I did
it. I think it's incredible. Like, so great. And it's really like, life is here for us to enjoy. So let's have enjoyable experiences, so you get. So
yeah, definitely.
Well, thank you, Diana, and everybody on, please tell Diana thank you. And we're excited to see all the adventures that you are doing. So thank you.
Thanks so much. Thanks for having me.
All right, you guys, that was so amazing, right? To see how is a projector living, and especially those intuitive powers, right? Really leaning on those intuitive powers, that they're our guide, that it is telling us the right way to go. But so oftentimes our mind is just second guessing or leaning on other people, right? We are amazing beings who get to have an amazing life, and all we need to do is show up for it. All right. Well, thank you so much, you guys. And tomorrow there'll be another podcast episode dropping. So if you need the podcast links, drop podcast below. We're going to be having some amazing stuff happening in October. Yeah, that's right around the corner. So I can't wait. We'll have a master class. Actually, I'm in a workshop. So we're really going to be diving into as a workshop. So you're going to want to be there on live to see the beauty that comes through diving into your human design and the gifts that you can use and utilize from that. All right, everybody, let's rise to thrive. We'll see you guys next time.